Hey guys, what's going on? It's Cat23 back with another video, and today we got some more tips and tricks for you guys. Today, focusing on how to pitch in MLB The Show 20. 22 games into the season, I'm rocking a 2.72 ERA. That's not bad at all, considering this year, I mean, it's honestly okay to have a 4 ERA. It's not like unheard of. Like, if you go to the World Series and look through, people might have a 5 or 6 or 7 ERA. I mean, people have got a high ERA up there. So if you're one of those guys that can hit just fine but struggles with the pitching side of things, this video could really help you out, because if you become a more elite pitcher, then your chances of winning, of course, they skyrocket. Now, quickly, I am going to talk about the pitchers that I use, just in case you were wondering who I've been using. So Corey Kluber, of course, my ace, rocking like a 3 ERA. Some of that was from Battle Royale, though, so I'm not sure how much was from ranked seasons, but I think he overall did better in ranked. He's obviously one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in the game right now. Then we got Hal Newhouser, who I did select from my pack. If you didn't go with Hal, obviously, maybe you can get him at a later stage, but I definitely like him. He's pretty solid so far. Definitely a good pickup. Roy Oswalt, first inning boss. He's been alright. Nothing crazy. He's hittable, though. He's hittable. Alex Reyes, also from that pack, rocking a 2 ERA. Not bad so far. And then Shohei Ohtani's been rocked. He has been absolutely rocked. 7 ERA. He can hit, though. He can definitely hit. But I might consider getting Blake Snell over him, or even Greg Maddux. But of course, the purpose of today is to get practice with your pitching. So the best way to do that is, of course, custom practice. So you're going to hop in here, and you're going to want to select any team. Now, you're going to want to pick a team that has a pitcher that you're going to be able to start with. Let's say, you have Corey Kluber. I'm on the Rangers, so I'm going to pick the Rangers, and I'm going to practice with Corey Kluber, because why would you practice with someone you don't have? If you're getting ready for ranked seasons or anything like that, use the guy that you're literally going to use in that game. So if Kluber doesn't have energy, warm up with Hal Newhouser, warm up with Shohei Ohtani, Blake Snell, whoever you need to warm up with, do that. Tip number 1. This is a very visual thing, but it is actually really important. I don't know what you guys are rocking, but if you go to pitching and you go right down here to pitching ball marker, you want this on classic on. Let me tell you why. I used to do pitch trail on, and pitch trail on basically looks like this, right? You get that red line telling you just where the pitch is going to go. This is a sinker, right? Just a straight up red line, all right? It does the same exact thing with a curveball, right? Just tells you where the ball should end up if you hit a good. Now, obviously, that seems right, Nothing really too wrong with that. But here's the difference when you put classic on. Putting classic on is going to give you so much more information about the pitcher and just how your pitch is going to look. Right here, I have selected a cutter, and you can see exactly how much break it's going to have. That's what those little, arrows represent. So the more arrows, the more break. If I go to the curveball, you can see there are multiple arrows. This is going to really break. If I just had the red laser, you wouldn't really know exactly how much break the pitch has unless you've seen it or you've used the pitcher quite a lot. But from this angle, I can tell exactly what the batter is going to have to face. I can tell that this ball is going to start middle low and drop out below the zone if I hit my spot. And that's the reason why I like using this over anything else. It just gives you more information that you wouldn't have if you didn't use it. It's like if you're not using it, you're just missing out a little bit. Obviously, it's not game changing, but it definitely does help going from pitcher to pitcher, knowing how things are going to be moving. The next tip, of course, is to recognize the batter that you're facing. Recognizing the batter that you're facing is very important, and it all starts from the very first pitch of the game. You have to figure out if your opponent is going to be a patient guy. Is he going to be a guy that swings at everything? You got to figure out who you're facing, what kind of pitches they like to swing at, and all that. Because the more information you can get, oh, that was rough. The more information that you can get, the more successful you can be. Now, let's say I play a guy who swings pretty much almost at anything, all right? Pretty much at anything, right? He's probably newer to the game. Those are the guys you just do not want to throw strikes until they prove that they can take them. And you can do the opposite as well. If someone is not swinging at anything, and they're just they're not budging, they're working the count, your pitch count's getting high, you want to start attacking those guys early. And you want to start with them, pitches that you can guarantee strikes, right? Like a fastball, just pitches that you're comfortable with, pitches that you're not even second guessing. You're like, yes, this will be a strike. If you get ahead on those guys, they might even approach you a little bit differently. They might start swinging earlier and getting out more. It's definitely not a bad idea. As the game progresses, you can probably also tell where or if they are sitting in a certain location, especially up and in. It's pretty easy to tell if guys are sitting up and in. low and in. It's pretty easy. It's if you throw it and they're just immediately on it. There is a chance they just sit in the middle and they react really quickly, but it gives you the same information. It gives you the information that they are good at that pitch and you shouldn't be throwing it, especially to the same hitter. Speaking of that, never throw the same hitter the same pitch sequences. Let's say this is the second time through the order. I'm facing George Springer. My opponent can hold R2 like this and see the pitches that I've previously thrown him. So let's say I started him off with an up and in fastball the first time. Let's say he whiffed. But let's say now he's prepared for it. So I'm going to come in on that pitch and he would probably wallop it. You can't do that. You probably have to think opposite of that. You're like, all right, I went with a fastball up and in. Let's go with a cutter low and away. Because you want to try to get in his head. All right, that's the idea. And right there, well, that's a weak hit, but still, we got him to swing. We got him to kind of lunge at that one. That hit right there is a great example of my next point. Don't get flustered with bad hits. They happen. It's unfortunate, but you're just gonna have to move on. Like in this scenario, that's a very early out in front swing. It was not a great swing. I got him to roll over and do what I wanted him to do. But that's okay. I can still work on the next batter and not really worry about it, because I've seen it before. Guys get flustered, they start, ranting at the game, and then before you know it, the next guy up, he has hit a home run, and the next guy has hit a home run, and the next guy. And you put yourself way behind in the game when you really could have got out of it. I mean, you can always get out of it. There's always a chance. There's always a chance, and you always got to play till that last out. Now, how should you approach pitcher energy? Because pitcher energy is very different this year. When you're going to the bullpen, especially in games like Battle Royale, pitching energy is going to be really, really important to you and to your team. It's going to change how the whole game goes, and if you don't do it right, it might not go the best. You simply cannot put guys in with red energy, even if their confidence was through the roof. It's just such a bad idea. With the huge PCIs the opponent is going to get, it's just not worth it. Obviously, with with starters coming out of the bullpen now, you can do that as well, but you just have to be weary of it, right? If you put a guy in with yellow or below and you're starting it like that, you really risk killing your confidence early. And what that would mean is, you bring him in, right? Yellow energy, and the first couple batters just go yak. Like, he's going to be doomed. He's going to be absolutely doomed, and you've pretty much just wasted another starter by doing that. So be careful with who you bring in. Just do not go red or low. If you bring him in and his confidence is already low, and you're really risking it, man. You shouldn't do it. Even if the scenario presented itself in a way that it doesn't make sense. Let me give an example. Let's say I'm using Corey Kluber right now, and let's say this guy pinch hits George Springer for Yordan Alvarez. Now, let's say I have one lefty left in the bullpen, and he's got red energy, but there's 3 lefties batting after Yordan, and I have another righty in my bullpen who's fully warmed up, but he's not that great, So, would you rather take the good reliever with bad energy or the so-so reliever with good energy? You're gonna have to go with the so-so reliever. You have to do it. It's a better chance. Even if you're giving him the matchup, it's definitely a better chance. Now, some might bring up the argument of meter pitching and why that one might be better, but it's just not. And that's because Pure Analog just gives you the best chance to reward yourself with user input. That's just pretty much it, man. This is going to be the best, most competitive option. If you want to be the best pitcher, learn this. At least give it an attempt. Like, if you have not tried Pure Analog, you have to at least try it, because this is definitely the best option for you guys out there. And don't even talk about pulse pitching. That does not count. That's just luck and RNG. You're just kind of praying with that one. You really should not be using that one on online, like, ever. But yeah, for the meter, you can make the argument that on the Pure Analog you can hit good, and it could float. The same thing can happen on the meter. That happens, unfortunately. Sometimes you hit a good, doesn't go where you ask it, but most of the time it's gonna go where you ask it. Especially if you have a better overall pitcher, you're gonna be definitely fine. Now, for my tips regarding how to hit the good and the hoop on the Pure Analog, alright? I don't use any control freaks. I use regular controller, just a regular PS4 controller. And pretty much this comes down to practice. And you probably not what you wanted to hear. You wanted to hear some easy way out. It's straight up just practice. Like a lot of games, you just have to practice it. Sometimes it does help to just stare at my thumb, like look at Kluber. He's got a long rotation. I can afford to look at my thumb before I release it, just to make sure it's in the right spot, because sometimes it just doesn't feel like I'm in sync with my thumb. But sometimes if you give it a quick look before you throw it, you can make sure your thumb is in the right position to push in the direction you want to go at the right time. Of course, make sure you're looking back up at the screen in time to hit that good on the line. But if the windup goes for a decent bit, you can take a look at your thumb, line it up, and get that strikeout. Now, a part of pitching is also dealing with runners on base. Right now, there's a guy with 70 speed, 12 stealing. Always make sure you're aware of this, because guys can steal on you. Certain guys are going to steal more than others. Your opponent might steal with literally everybody, and your other opponent might not even flinch once. So you're just going to have to kind of realize the player that they're going to be. If they love to steal, you can hold L2, and you can obviously use the, kind of the quick step. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing this when there's nobody on base. I've seen people do it. You can, but it's just not the best. Okay, right there, we just threw that one away. So that's obviously, a negative of using the L2. It's going to be wild. The pitch is going to be more wild. And you got to watch out, because your opponent might be baiting it. And what the opponent does to basically bait it is they take a step off, and they have no intention of stealing. All they want you to do is sidestep so that ball goes right down the middle. If they don't steal after a couple batters, focus on the batter, because at the end of the day, the batter is your main priority, and you need to get the batter out. So now let's talk about pitching views, all right? You can view the pitcher from behind the catcher or from behind the pitcher. And either doesn't really affect too much. You're going to be able to hit your spots either way. It's just preference. Some people like to be able to see what it comes in for the hitter. Some people like to, see it from the pitcher's point of view, like I do. And that doesn't really affect too much. It really doesn't. You can kind of pick whatever you like. Try out either. Doesn't really matter. It's not as much as hitting. Like hitting, there are better cameras than others. Pitching, it just comes down to your preference and what you prefer to pitch on. As a pitcher, the number one thing you really want to avoid is repetition. If you're throwing the same pitch over and over and over and over and over, the hitter is most likely going to figure that out and destroy it the next time you hang it. That's just how the hitter is sitting up there looking for repetitive pitches. You just have to basically avoid being obvious. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is pitch repetition. You cannot be throwing the same pitch multiple times. Even if it's the different batters, the hitter will notice it. Even if it's at different points in the count, the hitter will know if you're spamming the same pitch. If it has success one or two times, the hitter might specifically look for that spot. Like, if you strike out someone on an up-and-in fastball, I guarantee you the next at-bat, they are ready for that fastball because they messed it up last time. Same thing applies to double play scenarios. If there's a double play scenario and you throw a sinker low, the opponent is pretty much knowing that you want to throw that, and if you miss your spot, if you miss your spot low, he's going to take it. Like, your opponent is going to be smart in that scenario if you're playing in higher divisions. If you throw a low sinker, like right here, say there was one out and I throw this low sinker, they're not even going to think about it. They're not even going to think about it because they know the scenario. So if you throw them, something non-predictable like an up and away fastball, they might not be ready for it. And you just kind of have to read scenarios like that. Now, of course, there are hundreds upon hundreds of scenarios to play through, Let's say there was runner in scoring position. There's that too. And that's the good thing about custom practice. I can't talk to you guys about every single scenario, but as you experience scenarios, you can put them in custom practice. If you have trouble with the guys in scoring position, let's throw someone on third. Let's throw one out. Just like that, you're in the scenario where you have to stop this runner from scoring, and there's only one out. And you can just keep practicing this as much as you want, guys. That's what custom practice is here for. That's the best way to improve your skills if you don't want to go online. As much as this may sound crazy, you really should be going into custom practice every single time before you head into like a ranked seasons game, especially, even if it's for 3 batters, because as you're playing on ranked seasons, you're going to play guys that straight up are completely ready for you when you might not be. You hop into ranked seasons and the first batter of the game goes yard just because you weren't warm. That could lose you the game right there just because you didn't warm up, because your opponent has been playing for like 3 hours and you just got on. And it's that small, man. You got to start from the beginning and fight to the end. That first batter matters just as much as the last. And yeah, guys, those are my tips for pitching in MLB The Show 20. There's so much to cover. Hopefully, I was able to help you guys out with this video. If you're still struggling, let me know in the comments below the questions that you have. I'd be glad to help out. Hopefully, this did help, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace out.